It's actually great to be here. Our office is in Long Beach, so it's really great to be at the local design school. Can you guys hear me? Sort of? I don't know, do I have to use this or just talk? I could just talk loudly if that's better.
Yeah, you may want to talk loudly.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. If you can't hear me, just let me know if I'm trailing off a little bit. So I'm Alan. I'm the founder of Studio 111 Architects. We're located here in downtown Long Beach. And I founded the firm about 15 years ago. So what we do is it's a combination of architecture, landscape architecture, and urban design. That's sort of a focus area. And that means that our work ranges from, we do a lot of different things. We do small scale improvement like parklets, and if you ever, I'll show you some and you'll know what I'm talking about when I talk about parklets, street improvements, community enhancements in economically challenged areas. We do what we think of as responsible urban infill projects, affordable housing, and a lot of community buildings as well. So that's sort of our focus, and all of that work kind of is, it's really about fulfilling a mission that we created, which was creating more vibrant communities and in a more sustainable, livable, equitable way. That's really what we're about. So I asked the staff, we do a lot of different things. Here's some of our projects. I guess I could talk. If you know any of these projects, raise your hand. Like, this is the new YMCA on Carson Street. Does anyone know that one? Oh, yeah. Good. It's really a great new facility. Parklet, that's Berlin Cafe downtown. We did that restaurant as well as the Parklet, which is the first kind of street deck in the city. It's actually in Southern California. It's an idea we got from San Francisco. Affordable housing. Long Beach Airport. Anyone been to the Long Beach Airport lately? Not a long time ago, but lately. So we did all that modernization of the new terminal. That was a project that I think I get more comments on that project than almost anything else we've done. The Ronald McDonald House here in Long Beach. Anyone been there or done anything with that? It's kind of neat charity here. That was one of our projects. So this is a little bit about our work. I'm going to talk about our work a little bit, but I'm really going to talk more about this idea of collaboration, because when the idea of talking came about, it just so happened that we were having a little mini retreat within our group. And I explained that you can see we do a lot of different kind of things. And I asked our team, what are we really good at? Like what are we the best at? Because we are so sort of diverse. And one of the staff people said, we're the best at collaboration. Like, we're really, really good collaborators. And I thought that might be interesting subject to talk about, like design collaboration. As a designer, what does collaboration mean? How do we collaborate? Talk a little bit about our philosophy of collaboration. And also maybe talk about why collaboration is hard, because it certainly isn't always easy. So that is a good question. Why is collaboration hard? I don't know if it's hard for all designers. Like, if you're doing interiors, you sort of have to collaborate with a lot of people. If you're doing landscape, there's a lot of things to collaborate. But for architects, if any of you ever become architects or have to deal with architects, maybe more likely, I mean, architects have a hard time collaborating, and I can't tell you why that is. Part of it might be sort of mythic. Does anyone know who this guy is?
Yeah, that's the fountainhead. That's Rourke.
Howard Rourke. Very good, very good. I asked some people in my office if they knew who he was, and no one knew. Well, that's not true. Brian, can you stand up? Brian is our in-house graphic designer. He helped me put this presentation, well, he put this presentation together with a little bit of help from me. He had no idea who Howard Rourke is. But Howard Rourke is a fictional, anyone know who this actor is? That's even a better question. It's Gary Cooper, by the way. Gary Cooper, yeah. Gary Cooper playing this fictional character, Howard Rourke, who's an architect in Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead, which is a book she wrote. And it sort of some people think it was modeled on Frank Lloyd Wright. That would be a good example of some very arrogant, mythic form giver that goes out and just does what he wants and creates this brand new world all by himself. In fact, this is a quote from him. Question isn't who is going to let me, it's who's going to stop me. So there's certainly this whole idea of this big, strong, arrogant guy that goes out and creates a new world, a rugged individual. And I guess Gary Cooper, who played like cowboys, sort of fits into that bill. So when I graduated from architecture school a long time ago, that was sort of part and parcel of what I learned. The idea of the architect, this ego that goes along with being a designer, especially a designer of buildings, and that we would have to force our will, and we couldn't let anyone stop us. And so when I graduated, I liked the idea of that image of a designer, and I wanted to design icons. I mean, that's what a mythic person does, designs icons. And in the story of the Fountainhead, actually, I've never read the book, and I've actually never seen the movie, but that's just a. But I knew enough about him that everyone in school talked about him. Like, there was a building he designed and they built it, but they didn't get it right, so he ended up dynamiting it and blowing it up, rather than have his work be somewhat messed with, because he was a purist. So there was certainly a great idea about designing icons. Like, who wouldn't want to design something that would last, be in every history book and last for eons? Or if we couldn't do that, a modern sort of version of that. That seemed like a great way to be a designer. The problem is, when you graduate, I found it's actually really hard to design icons. It's not as easy as maybe you would think. And even more fundamental is that what we need? I think we need iconic buildings, but there are other issues that over time as I practice, I thought were just as important, if not more so. And they didn't necessarily need that kind of uncompromising, egomaniacal figure to design something, that we needed something else. And so as I've practiced, and as our studio has grown, we've sort of focused on a couple of key issues, what we call the issues that are concerning to us. So there's like themes to your work as a designer. I think you're attacking certain problems, you're approaching certain problems, and we kind of focus on certain ones that to us are really important, that we hope each of our projects tries to address in a certain way. Some better than others, obviously. One of them is sustainability, climate change. I mean, those are issues that I think the planet really has to address and society has to address. And we know that buildings consume 40% of natural resources to keep them operating and building new ones. And so transportation networks apply into this. So we think we have a responsibility to do the right thing for the planet. That's a big issue for us. Creating more livable cities. So as we've seen cities, this is what they call the age of the city. More people live in cities than live in the countryside for the first time in the history of mankind. In our own environment, we see people moving back into center cities, the revitalization of center cities, but just moving back in doesn't make them more livable. Right now we have issues of traffic. I don't know if you'd rather be on the left or the right. The right looks a little more pleasant to me. I think probably to you guys too. We're trying to transform our transportation network and our city building from auto-dominated, very difficult conditions to something that's a lot more sustainable and also a lot more pleasant to live in. We think it's important that as architects we address issues of affordability and economic opportunity. We don't want to just be designing, we'll design for a lot of different people, but we also want to address communities that are underprivileged, that have economic hardship, and people that need help. And so that's why we've made a big focus on affordable housing in our practice. We think it's really important. I think politicians are following along. The city of Los Angeles just announced potential new taxes to raise money for affordable housing, and the county is now coming along with a plan to raise $100 million to address this gap, because you have rents going up, housing costs going up, and yet wages really aren't, and the kind of jobs that we're creating really aren't able to support that. So we have this gap in affordability, and we think as architects, we have a responsibility to address some of that in whatever way we can. And then lastly, what I call reclaiming place. The idea of creating important places that connect to a community. So here are some of our projects. Again, Berlin Cafe, Last Cafe, which is a parklet that we worked on, reclaiming older buildings, the airport again. I've worked nationally, I've worked internationally, but one way that we kind of address this issue about place is that we've decided that we only can work in places where we feel we have a connection to the community, that we can understand the community concerns. We live in an increasingly commercial world and an increasingly global world. And that leads to a kind of this idea of this generic kind of place, generic kind of architecture. And that's why we decided that we want to try to counteract that and work in only places that we know. So we basically work in Southern California, a lot in Long Beach, a lot in LA, but we've made our focus Southern California. So that's really been this sort of story about collaborative practice. How do we practice what we preach, what are important to us? And I'll just tell you that I started my studio based on I was working, doing all this work all over the country, and I had this chance, it's kind of random, to get involved in a community enhancement project on 4th Street between Cherry and Junipero. You guys know Retro Row, right? Art Theater, this is Jackie's, but it's now Lola's, and when it was, that whole stretch. So we had a chance to get involved with the merchants and the community, and we were able to really work locally in a place I lived, a place I knew, and work with the community, and it really made a difference, and I kind of light bulb went off my head. And again, this is sort of that career path thing. This is what I want to do. I want to work where I know the people that are going to be affected by my project. So that's really the impetus for starting Studio 111. So again, a little bit about this idea of collaborative practice. There's a lot of different ways to collaborate. One of them is within the office, within the team structure. So this is a picture of our office. We're actually moving our office pretty soon. I'm really excited about this because we're moving to the old Nordstrom Rack space. You guys know where the Nordstrom Rack is? Not the new Nordstrom Rack that's like down the street, but the one downtown. It's been vacant for like ever. And we're going to be taking that space and remodeling that whole center and moving into this big warehousey-like space, which is what's beautiful about these old department stores or supermarkets. So I'm really excited about it. And we're going to take a lot of the lessons we learned about our current space. So everyone at work has a desk. And but most of the work that happens is around these collaborative tables. So you can see here, there are these pinup walls all out throughout our office, and we have these tables in front of them. And we really encourage everyone to pin the work up. Anyone could go around and comment on anything they see. The idea is to really get away from this issue of authorship and make it a very collaborative kind of environment. Anyone could gather around and work together and evolve the projects. And it's always up on the wall for comments. And it's amazing when I go to other architects and they don't quite have that kind of, everyone's just sitting at a desk and there's no kind of collaborative workspaces. These are really critical to the way we practice. And we're excited about our new office because we're going to have tons of that in our new space. And even the way we structure the office, you probably can't see this chart, but we're getting away from the idea of like specific roles and titles in our studio into more generic titles, but then every project has a specific role. So we don't want kind of anarchy, but we want everyone to be able to be at whatever role, be able to fulfill different roles in different projects. So again, we have this idea of the total architect, that you could go in and work at design at one point, and management at another point, and technical at another point, and float around. So it's not as hierarchical, and you're never pigeonholed. That's really how we're trying to develop our staff. So that's really how we work. And Brian, is that how we work? Am I telling the truth? Totally. Okay, good. I'm glad you. Okay, so there's another kind of collaboration I want to talk about, because we collaborate in our team, and I think we're successful at that. And then we have to collaborate with consultants. So this is, we work in teams. And when I say consultants, I'm talking about other architects. We're often teamed and paired with other architects, or it could be interior designers. or it could be landscape architects or graphics. We often work with graphics signage consultants. That's a really big part of what collaboration is. I was going to talk about collaboration here in showing a project that we're currently working on. It's downtown Los Angeles. It is a project called the Bloc, and it's right on Flower and Hope and 7th and 8th Street. So it's right in the core of the financial district. And this is, when we started, this is the way the project looked. It was this kind of dreadful fortress of brick and dated blocks. I mean, it's called the Bloc, but that's the name my client gave it. But it felt like a block, and not in a good way. I mean, we were asked to reclaim it. It's dreadful, dying buildings built in the 70s, no relationship to the street. The interior has a 500-room hotel and an 800,000 square foot office, but they were very obsolete. They had deferred maintenance, and inside was a mall anchored by a Macy's, and it was pretty kind of horrible. And so we're asked, how do you, this is the inside. I mean, really, has anyone ever been there when it was the Bloc? I just am curious. Somebody? Oh yeah. What'd you think? Dingy, yeah, really dingy. That's a good way to put it. We always look at the Yelp reviews of something before we start to see what people thought of it. So the question was like, how do you reposition this? You can't tear it down. There's just way too much value in what's there. How do you reposition it? Any thoughts? That's actually I'm looking for some ideas how to reposition it. Alex, could this be a design project for your student? This could be a good one, right? Okay, so we came up with some ideas about it, but first I want to mention that we weren't the first architect hired for this. Another architect got this job, and they started working on it, and we were brought in to consult with them, to collaborate with them. And over time, they actually exited the scene, and we were brought in. And they're really talented architects, but they didn't really like the idea of collaborating with anyone. And their entire thinking was the solution to this is for us to take this kind of monolithic design and apply our monolithic design to it. They want to just design things. They want to put their stamp on it. And that's what they did. They're architects. They design things. And it wasn't working. It wasn't the right process for this particular type of project. So we were brought in. The other architect exited. We were brought in. And they said, what do you want to do? And really, we had some ideas. And it was about bringing back urban vitality to this dense but really important block in downtown Los Angeles. So we brought in actually different consultants to help us think about it. One of the consultants we brought in is a guy named Phil Otto from Otto Design Group. And he helped us really conceptualize this story that we wanted to tell on this project. And that story was about a more minimal design, creating this neutral framework, like neutralizing this brick building so that it accentuated the best parts of the building, because we couldn't get rid of the building, and it let the future tenants and the future participants of the people that would be inhabiting it really determine its future and really be the focus of the project. So some of the boards that Phil and I did together, talking about who the audience was. What's the new downtown audience that we're appealing to? What's the character of the building that's really worth keeping and accentuating? And then I talked about the tenants. What kind of tenants can we get? And some of these are the tenants that are going to be there that would really play to both that audience and what's the emerging demographic of downtown, as well as really what would fit in the building. So here's some of the tenants that are moving in there. This is a really cool store called Wingtip. That's kind of a men's boutique, and it's out of San Francisco. It's going to be fantastic for downtown Los Angeles. So I'll tell you, the process was one that was much more open-ended. It was much more that we came up with this concept of a neutral gallery where the tenant is the star. And I think part of that was hard for the other architect is when you say that, you're not making your design the dominant thing in the project. And you're kind of going a little bit into the background, even though there's a lot of work to do there. And you're losing some control, because the tenants that come in, you're not going to be around there forever to control that. You can't control it. You're letting things happen. You're letting people participate in it that you don't know. What you're really doing is you're laying this framework for possibility. And that's what we called it, the framework for possibility. And not controlling the possibility, but allowing it to grow and allowing it to change over time. That's really the approach we take on this project, and I think we're taking it with lots of projects. So I'll show you some images of what that looks like. And what you'll see is some renderings that will suggest what the tenants could be, but again, we don't know what they're going to be yet. It's to be emerged. Sometimes I stay up at night hoping that they're going to be as good as we draw them, but I think they will be. And who knows, maybe they'll even be better than what we can imagine. This is a section through the building. It's a really complicated building. It's got a connection to a metro station, which is here. This is the first direct metro station connection in the metro system. That's the 7th Street station, so it's a really busy station. It's probably the busiest metro station in the whole system. And it's really part and parcel of also this idea of transit connectivity and how important that is to our emerging cities. And it's got retail, it's got a Macy's, it's got a theater on the 3rd floor. I don't want to bore you with the details of it, but it's complicated. So this is what, I showed you the pictures, do you remember that brick thing? This is what it's going to be. We're actually ripping the roof off. The roof is off already. So we ripped off the roof. We created this outdoor space that's a plaza that's surrounded by retail. Then we're stripping the brick out and we're exposing the structure. So it's this beautiful neutral framework as if we had, a gallery that we just kept, very, very neutral. Lots of concrete. And then we're coming up with the idea that the brick that remains, we're painting it black. And that was an idea that Phil and I and another guy, Alan, had come up with. And I have to be honest, this is a brooding, hulking building. So when the idea came of painting it black, we did a diagram, and it looked kind of cool in the diagram, but I was like, there's no way we're painting this building black. I mean, this will never, ever work. But we put it on the drawings as a placeholder. And I think we closed our eyes and forgot. And then one day they started just painting it black. And it was all behind the scaffolding, so we couldn't see how it was going to turn out. And then when they took the scaffolding off, there was just a huge sigh of relief because it looked great. So it's one of those things, if it didn't look great, I don't know, it would have been, I don't know. I don't have to think about that because it actually turned out to look great. A lot of what we're doing is opening the building that had no connection to the street, making strong connections to the street. And we're lucky here because there's another building up the street that's a big tower, and there's a lot of money coming from that project to improve the streetscape. So they're putting in bike lanes and potentially a trolley car and landscape improvements. So we're the beneficiaries of all this great downtown revitalization. These are some of the side views. You see the black brick there. But we're really taking areas that are currently closed off with security grills, that are unloved, and just places where the homeless congregate, and really connecting it back to the street in ways that it never was before, but it should have been. And another rendering there of one of the sides of the plaza. And again, we had to make up all the way we worked is everything that's sort of just the structure is what we're doing, and all that storefront stuff, maybe we'll get to do it, but it's really our imagination of what could be to help seed the future tenants of what it should be. But it's up to them to come in and really make this place come alive. I just wanted to mention this. This is that connection to the subway stop there. Oops. The subway stop, so you see the M? That's the actual subway stop. You go down, connects you directly to the transit line. And these are pictures that one of my colleagues took a couple weeks ago showing the construction progress. So before we had this enclosed mall that was very dreary. Now we have an open air plaza under construction, and you could see that the transformation is pretty phenomenal. Another picture of what that looks like. There's a beautiful building across the street called the Roosevelt Arms. It's a Roosevelt Hotel. And it's, we always thought you can never see it in the old version. You were inside, you can never see the building. But now it's actually the best part of our design is that building across the street. We had nothing to do with it, but we made it. Isn't that a beautiful building? It's really cool. It's apartments now, I think, but it's got retail. It's just fantastic. So we lucked out. We actually it's kind of borrowed, like the term borrowed light. You get light from other places. It's borrowed design. We're using that beautiful building as part of our design. It'll show up in all of our promotional pictures, I'm sure. This is a picture of the corner of 8th and Flower. So you could see here, this is the black. It was all brick. I could have shown you before, but it was all brick, and it was really dated. And this is what it looks like black. And it's not like we painted everything black. We actually stripped out some brick and exposed. The design is actually kind of cool if you look at it abstractly, but it had to be sort of carefully retransformed, or somehow we had to bring out what was great in the design. So some of the things that we did are we ripped out, there was brick here and here, and you can see that here. And behind that is the coolest ramp, like this circular ramp. I think it's cool. Now, I don't think most people like driving up it because it makes them dizzy, but it's an amazing feat of engineering. So we thought, you gotta see that. Now you can't see it in this picture, but at night it's really gonna be amazing when you see cars zipping up this ramp. This kind of urban energy of cars going up and down. Because up there, behind these windows, is a garage. And it's above the Macy's. So we actually just opened up, we created slices. We really tried to accentuate the planes of the building. And this is all done with paint. So this is the magic of paint. Just by accentuating different planes and using ways to lighten it and ripping out some soffits so you saw these elements as planes. I think we were able to take the building, which was this kind of dreadful, heavy, fortress-like thing, and really make it an abstract sort of sculpture in a certain way. And that was all inherent in the building, so it was finding that. And the client liked it because it cost a lot less than recladding the building or taking all the brick off and doing something else. So so far, it's been pretty successful. And one other thing we did was collaborate with artists. We had several artists come in. There's certain areas where we just can't do anything, and this is on 8th Street where it's kind of dreadful. It's loading docks, and it's these exhaust vents, kind of a dreary urban scene. And across the street are these beautiful new apartments, and people want to see some change there, but we just couldn't physically do anything with that. So we decided that it would be great to bring in some artists. So the client, we suggested to the client bring in some artists, and they painted these beautiful murals that added color and light and this whimsy. And it's transformed. It's like very easy to do, but it would totally transform this particular facade. Here's another one being done. This is a collective of street artists that came in. And it really has made a huge difference on that street. And this has been done, this was like a year ago, I think it was done, and they've never been tagged or graffitied over, which is kind of magic and power of art, I suppose. And I'll kind of fast forward to another analogous project, which is on La Brea. So it's called District Belair. We had a chance to do a whole block repositioning of these industrial buildings. Has anyone, let me just see, anyone been to American Rag? Anyone know where that is on La Brea? Okay. So it's right across the street from that. So you've been to American Rag, which is in kind of the mid-city area of Los Angeles. It's kind of a cool, somewhat grungy, but cool street. It was this old industrial building that used to have Continental Graphics, which is a printing house, took up the whole street. They bought all the buildings, almost all the buildings. And then somebody was going to buy it and tear it down and build apartment buildings. And then there was the economic downturn, and that deal fell apart. So our owner came in and said, our client said, we want to just reposition the buildings. Is there anything we could do with them? And we said, there's a lot you could do with them. These are great buildings. You shouldn't tear them down anyway. And this goes to our whole idea of wanting to restore, do adaptive reuse, and keep the fabric of a community somewhat intact as things develop. So this is the lineup of stores, and I urge you to go there and shop, and it's really kind of fun. There's great restaurants there too. So up above is what it used to look like, and down below is the after. And this collaboration was many people. It was graphic designers and architects that came in to do individual stores. But it started with artists because as we went through construction, we felt there was a certain vibe on this street. There's a lot of street art in this area. Shepard Fairey used to tag this building all the time, all these buildings. And so we suggested to the client, and part of the vibe would be art. So they actually brought in these artists to do all these temporary barricades. That's Hector de la Cruz, and then there's some others. I don't know all of them. There was this continuing sort of circle. But we have these barricades. As you're doing construction, you put up these temporary barricades. And they did a great job bringing in artists. And it kind of, again, it just made the street seem vibrant, relevant while the construction was going on. And it got people excited. And it got the community excited. And then Shepard Fairey, who used to tag the building, actually came to my client and said, I actually want to do a permanent mural because his gallery was across the street. And so he actually came in and did this beautiful mural, kind of his Shepard Fairey mural thing. But it's actually really neat. And I'll show it to you in a second. And we had artists do graphics. We didn't just do the regular sign program. We had artists come in and do different graphics and signage and do some fun things on the street. And it really helped reinvigorate that street. Now it's a very pedestrian area. There's a lot of activities, a lot of economic development. And I think of it as a collaboration because, once again, I think what we did as an architect, as a designer, was help facilitate lots of people coming together. That was what we thought our role was. It wasn't to design really zippy buildings. The buildings themselves were really cool. We just had to clean them up, get them ready for somebody to come in and do a beautiful store. And it turned out these kind of tenants, they actually didn't want over-the-top architecture. Understated was their vibe. Undefeated is here. And they actually moved across the street into the project. And their whole vibe is, if we have to try hard, if we have to scream, then we're trying too hard. We're too cool for that. So it was really a great project. And I think, here you can see on the left, it gets cut off a little bit, but there's that big Shepard Fairey mural on the left. So that was a sort of way of using non-design and creating this framework for possibility to happen. And I think it may not be the most glamorous sort of, we kind of win a lot of awards, it's amazing, but it's not because we're trying so hard. It's about sometimes setting back, using restraint to make something wonderful happen. I guess that's really a parcel of how we work and our ideas about collaboration and what makes a successful project, which is ultimately our goal. Oh, there's the Shepard Fairey mural. Interesting, diverse neighborhood. Okay, so and then lastly, I'll talk a little bit about clients, because clients are the other people that you have to collaborate with. So if you have a firm or you work for a firm, you always have clients, and there's kind of different kind of clients. One of the things we do a lot of is community engagement and community revitalization, and that means a lot of kind of community engagement. So this project is in Sherman Way, and the community and the city want to come up with a plan of revisualizing the street. It's kind of the core of what we do, creating more vibrant communities. So this is the street now. There's kind of some cool street art that we want to accentuate, some cool buildings and signs. But the way we engage in collaboration here with the community is we do walkabouts with the community. We really engage them in community outreach efforts. So you're seeing some pictures here of, we create these boards. We give everyone a little dot, and they can vote. We give them options of what the community could be, and they're visual, and they're done in English and Vietnamese and Spanish, because those are the languages spoken. And people actually could vote and go there and actually make a difference, participate in what their community in the future is going to be. And that's kind of a really big component of the work we do, and some of the work that we're proudest of. This is what those boards sort of look like. And then this is that visual survey we give to people of how that could work. And I guess the other part of client is you have clients that engage you, that call you and sign a contract with you and pay you. But in I guess the way we think about it, it's not just who's paying the bill that's our client. It's everyone that's going to use the project. It's the people that will be using the project even after we're gone that we may never meet. That's the trickiest part, I think, in design, because you have telling somebody, oftentimes suggesting what you should do, but you have to really think about the people that aren't in the room that are going to be using the project and what their needs are going to be into the future. This is not one of our projects, but it's kind of a really cool example. This is by a firm Elemental in, I think it's Peru or Chile. I think it's Chile. And the architect here, he was tasked with building affordable housing, really affordable housing, cheaper than typical affordable housing. So his solution here was to build half the house. And half the house cost half as much. But he left a piece of it that the owner, whoever bought it, could then go in and fill it in. So not only is it cheaper, they buy a cheaper house, they could go in and participate in the finishing of the house. So they're engaged in that. So that's how it starts. And that's what it looks like after the owners, kind of go in and do what they want to do. And I think that's really kind of brilliant. And it's just smart because it addresses affordability, participation. He definitely doesn't have control of that. But I think that's really kind of an amazing sort of process. So I don't think we've ever done anything quite, as ingenious as this, at least not yet. But, I'll show you one of our projects. This is Courtyard Lofts. This is like one of our first projects. It's downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue between 7th and 8th. And we were able to take these two commercial buildings with a parking lot in the middle, move all the parking to the alley, and then create a courtyard. That's why it's called Courtyard Lofts. But we just took these buildings, these very raw spaces, and just did them as cheap, literally as cheaply as possible, so that people could come in and fix them as they needed. So we did what was minimal, and I guess we call it, it's kind of it's a medical term called minimal effective dose. I always talk to clients about that. What's the least we could do to get the desired results without doing too much, spending too much money? Because the more money you spend, the more you have to pass on to the person that buys it. We want to make these affordable. And I think it was really successful, and people found the rawness to be something kind of refreshing, and they could go in, and then it wasn't precious. The other thing about this project that I'm really proud of is that this courtyard was an idea that we had. We thought, some of the most successful housing in Southern California is courtyard housing. If you've seen the classic courtyard where everyone has to go into this court to get to their unit, and it's this conception of sociability and community. And this project really did that. And it was proven to us when we went to photograph it, and we wanted to get into some units, and it turned out everyone sort of had everyone else's keys. So it was really easy to get into a unit because this person was away, but their neighbor had the key, and we could get into that unit. And it was like they all were looking after each other. They had this sense of community, which I thought was kind of interesting. Maybe creepy if you didn't like your neighbor, but it seemed like everyone liked each other. Another project that really thinks about the end user is an affordable housing project we did. This is on the corner of Anaheim Street, Long Beach Boulevard. It's called Senior Arts Colony. Anyone ever see this project? It's a pretty big project. It's 200 units of affordable housing for seniors. I don't want to get into the design, the overall design too much. What we like about it is it's transit oriented. It's directly on the Blue Line stop. The Blue Line stop is right there in Anaheim. And it's arranged around a series of courtyards. And what's great about this is the thinking about the residents. These are seniors that don't want to be in a project that looks senior. It looks like a market rate, cool, hip, downtown apartment. It has a lot of open space. It's got a community center where people can gather and do plays. It's actually more like a little playhouse. It's got gathering areas for groups, sing, by yourself. What's really great is it's got this like gardening element here. So we're trying to bring urban farming into all of our urban projects here, so people could do gardening and have access to food that they grow themselves. And then it has this component of arts that's programmed so that people in here can do, they actually have a gallery and they have an arts facility where they bring in teachers and people are participating in creative arts, which I think is unique to a project, a senior housing project. So I think we're really proud of this particular project as well. And then lastly, I'll just end on talking about, again, the participation of the users and how we think about collaboration with people that we don't even know. This, again, isn't our project. This is Bryant Park. It's in New York City. And it was this kind of dismal urban park that was very popular with drug dealers in the 70s, probably 80s too, that they redid. And they did a lot of things to really rejuvenate this in terms of programming and people really starting to take care of it. But one of the most interesting things they did that's as simple as is they just put in these movable chairs so that instead of saying, this is the design, this is how you'll use the space, they said, here's chairs, and people can move them around. You could sit by yourself, you could sit in a group, you can participate in the making of the space. And I think that's kind of just one of those lessons that we'll always take as we design spaces. How do you design something so that the people that are using it can participate in its making? So back to the Bloc, I didn't talk about some of the specifics of this big plaza we're doing, because I don't really know what the specifics are yet. What we've done is we have this kind of lawn area in the middle, but everything else is unfixed. We have planters that are on wheels. We have furniture that moves around. It's all about letting it happen over time and letting people, the people that are inhabiting the offices or the hotel or the retail, use it their own way. You know, there's going to be a yoga pants store going in here, and they're going to have yoga classes in that grass area, or maybe not. Sounds like a good idea. So it's all about really how people will participate in this whole unfolding of public space. It kind of goes to this idea, have you ever heard of the term lighter, faster, cheaper? It's this idea of, there's been a lot of top-down design, especially in urban design, that the city or some other entity will say, this is how we're going to create space. Lighter, faster, cheaper is about doing things quicker, more community-based, and really from the ground up versus from the top down. And I think it's an idea that really can make our cities a lot more enjoyable. And one more picture. This is also showing how all the tenants really participate in making this a vibrant space. One more shot of that. So anyway, that's really, I guess, what I want to talk about a little bit. And I hope I can answer some questions if you have any. Thanks. Yeah.
All right. You mentioned throughout the lecture about how the project is affected by collaboration and the sort of linear, sort of not the top-down approach, but the ground-up approach. My question for you is perhaps your fellow team members who are here could also reply in that how your team feels about the collaborative environment of their workplace.
How the team feels about that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good question, because some people come in from firms that are more traditional architecture, where the architect comes in and controls, is really the orchestrator of everything. And the guy that told me that he thought we were the best at collaboration came from a firm like that, and he's the one that's had the largest probably transition of how we work, where he would go to meetings and like, well, the landscape designer wants to do this, and the civil engineer wants to do this, and this other architect wants to do this. And he'd get frustrated that we have this kind of friction, and we weren't able to have our way. And I think it was just a process of, and he's not here tonight, but it was a process of talking about, let's let go of control, and let's let go of authorship, and let's let go of what we want to originally see maybe, and see where this goes. So there's a little bit more ability to sort of let go and experiment and see where it goes and be more open. I guess it's about openness in a certain way. So it's kind of a mindset that we try to foster in our group. And I think it's generally everyone likes it better. It seems to be working. So I guess, at least that's what they tell me. I think it's working. Does that answer the question? I guess there's always going to be people that are going to fight against that. And there is also always that sense of ego that you have as a designer, that you have to sort of try to work against it for the greater good. And I don't know if that means that I think it's noble to look at it that way, not less than.
I think that our generation, the millennials, you could say, really appreciates the sort of linear, lateral positions in a way, where there's not like a huge hierarchy. And do you think that because it seems like your business is structured like that somewhat in a way, do you think that attracts higher potential or higher quality, perhaps, employees? I don't know if that's
No, that's a great question. I think, well, yeah, I hope so. I think it does. I mean, I think people are attracted to a place that gives you an opportunity to grow. And that is something we're really very, very focused on, that our staff is thrown into the mix to a certain extent at all levels and is really participates in a lot of different parts of the design world. And they're never pigeonholed. So I think people are very attracted to that. I think they're also attracted to a place that has a certain sense of mission about what we're trying to do. That might be just as important. But ultimately, people are, no matter what, millennial or not, people are interested in how their career is going to grow. And being in a place that isn't as hierarchical definitely seems like it's attractive to a lot of staff. We have a lot of young staff, and I think they do enjoy that. That being said, it depends. Like architecture, it does take a while to figure out. It's pretty complicated, and there's lots of challenges to it. So I think people understand that it's a pretty long haul as an architect. It takes a while to sort of get to a point where you're running things all by yourself. And so that's always the challenge. You might, it's what do we say? It's like an old man's profession, I suppose. I'm pretty old, so I would attest to that. It took a while. But I think we're trying to accelerate that growth with people. And one of the best ways we do that is we really want people to be not only involved in the stuff in the office, but out of the office too, meeting with clients, understanding what politics are like, going to city council meetings, getting involved in the community, and seeing how things get constructed out in the field and what the reality of what you draw is when it gets implemented. That's a really big part of our sort of continuing education program. And we really take that very seriously.
Who's a dream client you want to collaborate with?
A dream client we want to collaborate with? It's a good question. Probably some community group that has control over a whole district that says we want to create, a vibrant eco-district here that has opportunity to live, to work, recreation, and we're wanting to think outside the box of what that means. I think what would be ideal would be to work, at a district level, because there's only so much you could do with individual buildings. But you think about a district, maybe you could do things with water reclamation in a district. Maybe you could do things with energy creation in a district that you can't do with an individual building. And so that, to me, I'm looking for that client. If you know one, let me know. That would be my dream kind of project. And also that district has some really cool old buildings that we reuse and some new buildings, and it has to be near a transit stop and great transit connections.
You had mentioned something about working with, say, a district, and that brings in local and district political entities. How do you find working with political drivers, if you will, from a collaborative standpoint versus an ego standpoint?
Well, one great thing about working locally is you get to know some of these people outside of just that relationship on the project, which I think is really helpful. So when we work in Long Beach, we know a lot of the players in Long Beach. I just, look, I don't know, I don't know how to say this. You have to deal with political types, especially a city small like Long Beach. You have to deal with politicians, and politicians are really self-serving, in my mind. But they're also part of the process. I guess everyone's a little self-serving, so you have to find that common ground. It's like that Eames diagram where all these different needs and where there's that little overlap is where the common ground is. When we were doing our office as an example, we realized that we didn't want to announce the office. We were working with the guy who owns the building, that we're going to redo this building. We're going to move our office in there. We're going to revitalize this vacant space. But we realized that it would be better, let's not announce it. Let's talk to the mayor and the council person and make it their idea. And that's how it came out. So they made the announcement. We have this great idea. We're going to move this architecture firm here. And we're going to revitalize this building. And you know, it was our idea. They had nothing to do with it, but it made them give us a little money, and it made a bigger impact. There was more press at the event. So I think you just have to, again, work on the issue of what's your ultimate goal, and don't let your ego get in the way, and understand what other stakeholders' needs are, what drives them, and try to find that common ground. I think so much of design in this era that we're working with, so many big issues, is finding what is the common ground to make, you know, the world a little bit better. That's what we're all trying to do here. Yeah.
Interested, especially seeing as you're moving offices into, I'm assuming, a much larger space. But how fast, like, is your offices growing, or like kind of bringing new people in from the outside hirings, or are you doing that at this point?
So it's a little complicated because, you know, our studio is part of a larger firm. So we're actually moving the two firms together into this space. And so it's not actually larger, but it's going to be one large space. So what we're doing, we are growing a lot, though. I would say that a year ago, right now, our studio is about 38 people. And I think a year ago, it was like 20 people. So you imagine, that's almost double the size in a year. So there's been a lot of new people, and it's been a challenge. And not only that, but we still need people. So we're trying some new things. One is we had a really great core staff. So the new people, by far, the majority have been recent graduates. We love having recent graduates come work with us. It's just been fantastic for the culture of our office, and it really helps us, you know, practice what we preach about collaboration. And even when we, though, have more work than the staff can handle, we're starting to do this thing where we're collaborating with other firms. So we're bringing other firms in to help us. We have some contract employees that come in to help us on an as-needed basis, several that are designers and technical people. And we have other firms that help us on the technical side of drawings, and just because we can't draw it all. So it's been one of the biggest, but that's a great question, though, because it's been one of, as the sort of senior principal and managing partner, you know, it's been a challenge bringing new people in. It means that we have to be pretty clear about our mission. It starts with your values. You have to sort of make sure everyone understands what the values are of your company as you bring them in. And we try to do that in the interview process. That way they know what they're coming into. And then how we work. So we have a whole 2-week onboarding process where you get to talk to lots of different people about what it's like to work here. Where do I find resources? How do I operate within these systems? I think we do a better job. I think we do a pretty good job, but we could always do a better job of that process. But it's a really interesting thing. And hopefully, we don't necessarily grow to be big. You know, in fact, this is about as big as I think we want to be. But we do have these great opportunities, and we've worked hard to create these future opportunities, so we want to take advantage of them.
In terms of when you're doing like the community outreach, how do you go about building a community that everyone will like? Do you look for similarities in people's votes, or do you try to do a little of everything?
Well, you know, that's an interesting process. I mean, first of all, you try to engage the community. So some communities are hard to engage with. People don't come out to events. You know, this event we did was done at a bank on a Saturday when we know a lot of people go and cash their checks. And we had a taco cart from one of the local restaurants. People love food, right? So they came out for the food. We didn't want to do food trucks because that would compete with the restaurant. We had the restaurant bring the food. So you try to engage biggest cross-section. So we use social media to get people out, and we send out postcards, and we have all the community groups, you know, and the churches post things. So you try to get the biggest engagement you can. Then we have a way of sort of tallying the votes, because people are kind of voting for the vision. And then the next step on that particular process is to take those desires of the community, find out what could happen there, and then we present it to the community. But ultimately, not everyone, you're not going to get everyone in the community to like what you do. What we did in this particular case is we got the community input, but ultimately there's a steering committee, and it's made up of community members, people from the council district office, others that really are stakeholders, business people, residents, and they ultimately make the decision as a group. There has to be consensus with them. I don't think we can reach there's no way to get community consensus, but we can get it with the stakeholder group, and they're really ultimately the ones that we have to sort of make sure they approve what we're proposing for the community. And that's kind of an important part of the process.